Alma Francis Heiliger, point of inquiry. Go right ahead.
To the chair, to the testifier. Oh, sorry.
Well, at this point, I believe she spoke for both of them.
Senator, I can just add that right before the pandemic, both superintendents, along with Dr. Williams and the provost, we did convene to be able to address some of these same issues, our students going into the university and having to take skills courses. That work needs to continue, but we did start the dialogue about the real things that we can do in both of our programs to help our students succeed.
Thank you, Dr. Jurgen. And Senator Francis Heiliger, go right ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Through the chair to the testifiers. One of the things when I was in high school, ninth grade, for example, our English teacher would have us do is she would take a book and split it up. Every child had to read a chapter. Mm-hmm. The child would go up in front, read the chapter, and we had to verbally explain what we read and understood to the class. And that was a way for the teacher to not only see our reading skills, but she was also able to identify which students were able to comprehend what they read. And there was also something we did, Communication Arts Showcase. Mm-hmm. And do we still do stuff like that as a way to make sure that these children fully are understanding, reading, and comprehending? Because those were tools that helped me. I actually participated in Communication Arts Showcase where the teacher allowed us to all create speeches and the best ones got to participate. So how do we still do stuff like that to really
not enough?
No?
To be quite honest, and that's part of bringing back some of the old that worked.
Well, it worked.
And I am right there with you, Senator. And we will be bringing back the Communications Arts Showcase among some other programs that were excellent ways for us to not only showcase our students' talents, but also to see where our students are and to challenge them to expand and grow. So you will definitely be seeing a lot of that coming back. But in terms of the way that they instruct in high school, Superintendent Jorgen, maybe you can respond to that. I agree that they should have opportunities where they read books together. I don't know if that's happening. I'm not in the day-to-day, but the superintendents can shed some light on that.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Let him answer on your time.
Senator, I'm very familiar with the programs that you speak about. I don't know how some of them, disappeared, but as the commissioner mentioned, all of those things we have really, really discussed, and we will be utilizing all of them again because we know the value that students walk away with when it comes to presenting in front of your peers, dialoguing about what you've discussed. All of those things add to comprehension. Fluency is also an issue that is tied to comprehension, but the more you read, the more you practice, the more you engage, the better you get at it. And so these opportunities provide students with more opportunities to be able to engage.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, Senator Francis Heiliger, thank you. You're now going after 12 people. So
okay.
This is your 5 minutes. Thank you for your patience.
Well, sometimes the last shall be first, so I'm okay. Good afternoon to my colleagues, to the people of the territory, to the testifiers and the staff alike. My first set of questions have to do directly with, I know we talked around retention and of some of the teachers. And one of the things that we've had other testifiers come in and people from the international teachers programs, and they talked a little bit about some of the interesting stories around their visas and some of their concerns. Are we doing a much better job with that to make sure that there are no major problems with these teachers? Mike.
Okay, so we do.
And begin with your name.
Mylene Cooper Shelford, Acting Human Resources Director. Yes, Senator, we are doing a way better job. We do have a program manager on board who's assisting the Office of Human Resources with ensuring that we answer and we provide the necessary service to our international teachers. Yes, very timely.
That was usually where the problem lied that I understood from many of the teachers through that program. When you spoke about under special education and not having enough educators, are you zoning in specifically as to how you're going to get special education teachers? And also, not only limited, I know when the public hears a lot about special education, sometimes they just zone into children with deficiencies as it relates to their education. But special education also, there are also gifted children under that category. What are you doing to also find educators for them as well? Or do you not have an issue with that specifically in the special education area?
So, Superintendent, can you comment on that?
So in our special education program, we'll see that the majority of our disabilities lie within ADHD, autism, and students with behavioral disorders. In terms of the students who are considered gifted or students who are advanced, we really differentiate in the schools. We are mandated to have a gifted and talented program at our elementary schools to address those needs. And then, of course, secondary, we have our honors or advanced programs. But in terms of special education, what we see is we're not just looking for our resource teachers, the teachers who push in. We're looking for teachers with experience. And again, because the bulk of our disabilities show up as emotional disorders or even autism, individuals who have experience in dealing with children in those specific fields.
2 minutes.
So that's what we're looking at.
My radio station had a competition last month where we opened it up for students to write essays. We had 2 winners from Charlotte Amalie and 2 from, I think it was Moravian School. One of the things in speaking to some of those young people, we asked them questions after they were allowed to read their essays live on the air and got their prize, is we asked, what do you think, and it was the Charlotte Amalie students we asked, what do you think fundamentally impacts you the most when it comes to your education? And one of the students said, block scheduling. That was his biggest issue. And this was directly from a student. They said it does not help them the way it has been touted to help them. For them, it's a hindrance. And one of the things, I'll just give you a quick example. When I was in high school over 30 years ago, I took a math class and I failed miserably. I think I left that class with a 28. But because I was not in the block program, I was able to take the class the very next semester with a different teacher. And in that teacher's class, I ended up getting an A. So I want to ask you, not only with the block program, but also the quality of teachers, because the difference between me getting an F and an A wasn't my ability to learn. It was the way the teacher taught.
30 seconds.
So I want to know a little bit about how do you handle that and get the best teachers for our students in order for them to learn?
That's a very good question. One of the things that we realize is, when you conduct an interview for a particular position, people interview well. Mm-hmm. Then when they come, you see something different. Okay. They're already here. So what do? And that's where that support system comes in. And that's why the superintendents have been behind their coordinators to get into the schools to provide that support. On the high school level, you have chairpersons that are able to assist as well. But that's what we find. A lot of times you think that they're ready and they're not. And so that support has to be in place. Superintendent?
I just wanted to chime in real quick before Dr. Yeagan goes on it. We also have to talk about relationships and rapport with students. What you build with one teacher and you understand their instructional style and their strategy, you may not be familiar with another one. So when you look at, especially the secondary schools, It's just how do the students relate with the teacher? How do they meet the teacher's expectations?
Let me just give, Madam Chair, could I just wrap up?
Sure, you may.
I'll just use me as an example again. With the teacher that I got an F with that one semester, her style was more, I wrote it out on the board, pick up your book and read it, and figure it out for yourself. That was her style. The other teacher was more interactive. She would go write it out. She would say, well, okay, Alma, this isn't right. You could do better. Try this way. She was also that teacher that said, during lunchtime, you could come if you have questions. So they taught two completely different ways. And we have to figure out that in this modern day and age, what might have worked back then might not work today. We have 1-year-olds knowing how to use smartphones. So it's not the same dynamic. So I'm very much concerned as to the way we're educating, as well as the quality of the teachers as to how they also teach.
The multiple modalities is critical, and that's part of the differentiation that we're speaking about. The one-size-fits-all college
Doesn't work.
approach is not what we want to see. But generally, that's what you see when you go to a high school class. For some reason, the interpretation or the perception is we don't need to be doing that type of elementary style teaching when that's what the children thrive in. And so again, it's support. What gets monitored gets done, but we have to show them how to do it. In a lot of cases, we assume that people know what differentiation means when you don't. And so that level of support, intensive intervention and support is what we are doing right now and will continue to push if we're going to see the improvements in instruction that we desire.
Thank you so much for the response.
And if I could just add, Senator, that's just where the rub of the work is. Quality teaching in 45 minutes is everything in comparison to 90 minutes of someone that doesn't know how to connect the dots.
Thank you. I am now Senator Alma Francis Heiliger for your question.
Good afternoon again. My question centers around cafeteria and food. I have a teenager in my house that goes to Charlotte Amalie High School. And she seems to twist her uncle's arm every morning to give her money to buy lunch, where I feel she needs to eat the cafeteria food. But she has this narrative where she doesn't like the food. And she's questioning certain things. So I need to know, and I've heard it from other people where they have sent me photographs of some of the meals. Some I thought looked delicious, and some looked very questionable. That's the best I could use. The question I want to ask, because when I was in high school, I know at times even I experienced that problem. I'm from the class of 91, so is my colleague here, Dr. Jurgen. And I said that because I want to know if he could back me up, because I remember some of these lunches. So what I want to know, how have we attempted to improve the lunches for these young people, or even I know some do breakfast as well. What have we done to improve this? Because some of these children are blatantly saying they don't want to eat this food. And I need to know what the issue is and how do you deal with repayment or reimbursement from the federal government, because I know you have to meet nutritional quality requirements in order to do so. Thank you.
Go ahead,
Senator, you know, one of the things we've done with the commissioner, her coming on board, is she gave us the charge to go to every school and eat the lunch. See, if is it something that you would like to eat normally? And we gave her some feedback, and we're using that feedback to really, really make some improvements.
Okay.
Some kitchens are better than others. I'll tell you the truth. Some kitchens are better than others. And, you know, gone are the days when we used to have our pea soup and the triangular Johnny cake and saltfish, and we don't serve those things in our schools anymore because some of them have been deemed unhealthy, even though it did just fine by all of us.
Yes.
So we are looking at ways with some of the new requirements, such as brown rice, to make it appetizing for what we want them to come into the cafeteria. We want them to have good meals, breakfast and lunch, because we know that that's going to help them do their studies very well, right? So we're working on it, and we hope to make some improvements in those areas that need to make improvements.
Hopefully roll around for the new semester next year.
Absolutely. And in this district, I'll say this much. The kitchens have been stretched and stressed because many of them have been satelliting, but we are going back to each kitchen, preparing the meals for each school.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, for this.
I'd like to quickly add that whenever we can't fry, we have to bake. So we can't use white flour, we have to use wheat flour. So there is opportunities once we submit the adequate recipes and get them approved that we can do that. But we're just not in a place. So with the restructuring of school lunch through the Office of the Commissioner, we will get to that place where we can submit the recipes that meet the USDA guidelines.
I have, that's okay. Senator Alma Francis Heiliger for your 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. I know we've spoken to some of you before. Welcome to the additional testifiers. For me, I am very serious when it comes to VI history. I am very disappointed we even have to be having this conversation as a born and raised Virgin Islander. But I'm owner of a radio station, Radio 1000, and we had a competition where we put it out to the public that the students, not only for reading purposes and educating and learning, they had to write an essay on a Virgin Islander named Dr. Lesmore Emanuel. And the reason why we selected him is because the history that we learned about this individual was daunting but educational as well. And I'm not going to kill up too much of my time, but I want to just read some excerpts from two of the first and the second place winner, and their words alone. And these are from children. One is from Charlotte Amalie High School, and one is from the Niski Moravian School. The first place winner won $650, and the second place winner won $300. But just to read a quick excerpt, and this is out of the mouths of children. And while we are here arguing over this is their thought process. These teachings should still be a part of our curriculum. It is only in the month of February and March do we normally focus on who we are as Black people. Learning about us as a people should be taught year-round. I feel senators should not even have to vote on introducing our own history into our school system or us having to go to court to demand our history to be taught to us. It's an 8th grader. And this is just them listening to what's going on in our community and wrote this essay. No help from me. This is just them in this essay. I will go a step further. Knowing our richness of not only tradition and history, but our land, sea, and sun are avenues to keep our islands vibrant with plant, vegetation, and local fruits, which will lead to jobs in various industries,
30 seconds.
boating, farming, energy projects. These are avenues to keep our Virgin Island students close to home, feeling proud enough to share their history handed down and shared by Dr. Lesmore Emanuel. And I just want to read the last part, listening to this student, and what touched me the most, and I'm going to just expound on it. He spoke about, in conclusion, I feel if Dr. Emanuel himself was alive, I would seek him out, actually sit down with him and ask him to tell me more about St. Thomas and how it was in the olden days. Why? I was born on St. Thomas, yes. However, with my parents being from Santo Domingo, they share a lot of their culture because that is what they know. I am more aware of what they know than who I am. Thank you, Dr. Emanuel. This is an 8th grader.
Time.
And he's basically telling us, we live in a melting pot. He's telling us point blank, I am a born Virgin Islander, and I know more about the Dominican Republic because of my parents than I know about my own history. We cannot allow this madness to happen. We shouldn't be here. Our children should not feel like this. And I was sitting there listening to him and I almost went to tears. It's sad. An 8th grader is feeling like this in his own home. We can't play like this with our children's future. We have to teach them who they are, because it's the same things that might have happened in the past, the things that are happening now, and what happens at this moment that we do inside of this institution is going to be the very difference as to the type of future Virgin Islands we have, period. So I just wanted to share that so y'all could understand that we shouldn't be playing games. Our children are watching us. They fully understand what's happening here. And if a child could sit down and write this, we are in some serious issues. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for that passionate statement. Alma Francis Heiliger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to do this point of personal privilege to put on the record that I too fully understand what integration is. We are in the Caribbean, we're a melting pot. I come from immigrant parents from Tortola, St. Kitts Nevis. So I fully get what integration is. But as a born Virgin Islander, I am never going to put any other place above my own. And that's just basic facts. And I think we need to focus on making sure a lot more that, yes, from my understanding, I'm not going to sit here. When I was in 9th grade, if I recall, I think it was Mr. Douglas. He taught me VI history. So when I was in 9th grade, I had VI history. But what I think is happening here, I think it needs to be extended, from my opinion, because one semester, I don't think it's enough. So I believe it should be extended on the high school level. I don't have a problem with the integration from secondary and elementary, but I think there's a difference between you integrating something, for example, in math class, and you say that banana G is indigenous to the island of St. Thomas. If you take 12 banana Gs and 12 banana Gs, you get 24 banana Gs. That's something where you would be integrating and still educating them at the same time. But when it comes to the history of our people, I need for our students to not one semester on the high school level, to go into a classroom and continuously learn and be educated on the people of the territory and where we've come from, so that they have a sense of pride and understand that we are very great people. And that is, from my perspective, that is what I would love to see if we were able to fix the legislation, whether through the court system doing it, or we here get it done at the institution. So I just wanted to put that on the record.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Francis Heiliger.